So the story on the Ardley property is that I have a buyer, an investor um, that I had been working with on another property. She is looking for a homestead, so she's not looking for, well, she is looking for investment property, but I am looking for a home for her and her family. She is wanting something either to take over subject to or creative finance. And so um, the first property that we kind of dug into was just the numbers just didn't work. They hadn't owned it long enough to really have any flexibility. So anyway, I ran across this property and so I,
So hang on, Nina.
yes,
So tell us your process that what you did. How did you find this? Why is this Waldo?
um, to be quite honest, I can't remember. I
Do you try
It must have maybe popped up from on my Zillow app as a, new property that hit lowered the price or something because I was cleaning out my lunchbox from work and I had written this address on a green sticky note with the realtor's number. So I'm thinking it must have popped up. Maybe, I get reminders or notifications from Zillow. So I guess I'm going with that. So anyway, I looked it up and they have do I have it on there was a balance of 141,000. It's obviously not a fixer, so it's turnkey, no repairs needed. It's in the area she's willing to go anywhere in Roseville. And so she's kind of upgraded from other areas that she was having me look in originally. And so, as you can see, the property is very, very nice. It's beautiful. Roseville is a nice area. So the price of the home is, it actually is pretty well priced. I did call the realtor. He said that the owner is not willing to budge on in fact, he didn't pick up the call. I just left a message and he texted me and said, "What can I help you with?" And so I told him I was interested in this property, that I worked with um, buyers. I had a lot of investors in the Sacramento area that I work with, and this one in particular was looking for a home for her and her family. And so, anyway, he did say that the owner was not willing to budge on the price and that she would only pay a $3,000 agent fee, buyer agent fee. So I texted him back and I said, no problem. She doesn't have to pay any buyer fee or agent fee, that the buyer would do that. And I just said, thank you for letting me know. So anyway, so when I looked it up, let me pull it back up here. There was a balance of 141,000 and a balance of 141,000. The payment was $884 a month. She has a great interest rate of 3.62%. And so I thought that this might be a great opportunity to do both a subject to and then seller finance the balance. My investors budget for, excuse me, verbal, for her monthly payment is around $3,000. And so I did two different scenarios. One would be very close to asking price at 639,000. The comps, let me back up. There are not a lot of comps. It is a newer area, so the closest that I could find was 1.4 miles and 1.2 miles away that were both purchased in September, this September. The average of the two comps is 636,000. And I know y'all back in the East are thinking I'm crazy, but this is just the way it is
California
in certain
prices
areas of California. Yeah. So, so the first offer, I ran the numbers was for 639, which was very close to her asking price and just a little over the comps. So I thought that probably was not too far out of the ballpark. And her loan is 141,103 and the principal, and her payment for that would be $884 a month to take over. The loan, the percentage rate they have is 3.62. So that would leave a balance for the seller to carry of $497,897. So the terms that I worked out for that price.
Can you bring that up, Kristen?
Yes, switch the worksheet.
Yeah, her email that has this listed out, so she doesn't have to go verbatim through the.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So she can put up to $100,000 down, and so that means that she would carry that 397, and I calculated it as a interest-only payment at 5.5%, which came to that in 1823.69 payment, and then in year 6, offer a balloon payment. So
what's the story of the seller?
She just wants a home. She wants a home and to stop.
No. The story of the seller.
Oh, the seller. That was all that he told me.
Okay, because it makes it difficult to structure this if we don't know the story of the seller.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to give it to the realtor. Talk to him about this opportunity because she has a great rate, and then I guess maybe the offer will bring out her motivation and start a conversation. But he was not, he didn't want to talk on the phone. And so I texted him yesterday, just said that I would have, I didn't have an offer ready because I told him I would have it by Friday to him. And so that's where we are.
Okay. Kristen, what's your feedback?
So this is very different from how I run numbers. So it's I think Joanna's gonna have to give a lot more feedback than I can. The first thing I did though, I'm gonna reopen this one.
Do you keep
So
a log, Nina, of your deals that you send out?
I'm sorry, pardon me, what'd you say?
Do you have a deal tracker, like an Excel spreadsheet of tracking your properties that you look at and put offers on?
No, I mean, I have a file of them, but I don't have like a tracker set up on a spreadsheet.
Kristen, can you share yours so that she could see what I'm talking about?
so this is mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm high tech, I have a form that I fill out and then it auto fills it for me. And I know Joanna's has a lot more at the top that I want to go in and add those.
Uh-huh.
But this just keeps track of, I can see when
Uh,
I put it on my list. I've
mm-hmm.
started adding in the date it was listed, that's further down. And then I'm keeping track of my actions. So which ones am I
Okay.
sending? If it's red, that means I didn't get the deal, it's off the market, or we're just done. Is that what you mean, Joanna?
Yeah.
And then
So
I keep all my links. So every time I do a deal analyzer, it's a clean way for me to find all my documents for all the properties.
Oh, that's a great idea.
the reason I asked or wanted you to see this, Nina, was because first of all, you had no idea where your property came from. You wrote yourself a note, right? And that happens. So that's completely normal. What's not normal is not knowing, not getting the story, not understanding what you want to do with it. So all it means is you have to just go back and retrack. And so you're not racking your brain. If you had put this on an Excel spreadsheet and had your notes, you would know why you have this address. Like, what did you see when you saw it first, or who referred it to you, or whatever the notes are, right? So you'd be able to go back to your tracker and see. And then the other thing is knowing the motivation of the seller is going to help you to structure that LOI. So without it, it's difficult to make any offers.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be a motivation for them to want to take over subject to and also do seller carry. It's rare that somebody does both. Okay. So I know you're probably going off the example I did in Oklahoma, where I took over the subject to. Okay, but it was a higher rate. It wasn't because of the rate. I took it over subject to, and the balance I took over and did seller carry. The seller received nothing, but would start receiving payments. And the reason it was structured that way was according to the story. Okay, it was structured that way. I didn't make it up. Okay, her problem was if she sells her house, she has to pay the IRS.
Right.
That was her story. I don't want them to take the equity of my home because they had a lien on her property.
Mm.
So for us to avoid that, I created that offer, taking over subject to and then carrying the balance as seller financing. So she was motivated to do that to avoid the IRS.
Right.
until she could get payment plans and make that, adjustment. Meanwhile, her equity is protected. Okay, do you see the motivation in that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that's why I'm trying to ask, what's the motivation of this seller to want to carry $500,000 and still have their name on a loan? Like, what would motivate him to want to do that?
Right.
And then
Right.
sometimes we have to beat the realtor over the head with getting the story, because they don't even know.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
care. They just want a commission check.
Exactly. Yeah. I do know I guess, from what I found on my software, and looking up both her and her husband, it looks like her husband had passed away. This is I guess what maybe they had been using as a rental. It's not her primary home.
How old is she?
She is, I want to say in her early, let me see.
Nina, I would confirm that story with the realtor.
Yeah.
Plus, it just shows that you're interested. Just say, I'm looking at this. I'm curious. Was this their primary home? Was it a vacation home? Was it a rental? Then that gives you some history of who's been living in it too, if it has been a rental.
Okay. And I guess if he won't pick up my call, we can communicate via text. That was just so frustrating for me.
That might be his preference because I am 100% a text person.
I know that's how Jamie got hers too.
Yeah.
She lives and dies by her text.
Okay.
It's just not our way of doing it, Nina.
Right. Yeah, totally.
I think it's a generational thing.
It's a
I
generational
do not
thing.
like making phone calls.
Yeah. Oh, my daughters are the same. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay.
Being curious.
I totally understand that. And so I guess my next step is just more communication with the owner. I'm sorry, with the realtor, and try and get some information out. So I think that might also give me an opportunity to just say, I would like to have a conversation and explain my offer before I send it. I guess that was my fear. If I just sent it in hopes of striking conversation, he would look at that and say, I don't know what she's talking about, and, just squelch it before we even had a conversation. So,
Yeah. And then also the way that you have it structured, it doesn't show where the realtor's getting paid.
oh, true.
And so that's always their first fear in creative real estate is, what, you're trying to cut me out? Just know that that's running through their head. So it should be, Kristen said it best on one of our calls, that she had to tweak, once she started tweaking her conversation,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, okay, like it was a different conversation because she led with her paying the realtor.
Right. Right.
Not trying to cut you out, but I'd like to create this deal so it makes sense for everybody.
Yes. Yes.
Just
And
call the elephant in the room.
And I would let him know that I have an interesting situation with my buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have time to set for a phone call?
Mm-hmm.
So then he can block off time to maybe be at the desk and have it, and so you can explain what you're doing, build that relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, have that checklist of, so first off, you're going to get covered. I want to make sure that you get your commission and you're taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what my buyer is looking for. What is your seller's situation?
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. I am Going back here, she is 64. It shows that her household size is 4, her current, not the, she lives in Granite Bay. And so I mean, in my mind, I don't know, but she's in $1 million house and only has 250,000 left on the loan. So the real attractive part to her might be the tax advantage of seller financing, to be
Yeah.
able to spread out the tax burden over time instead of taking a big hit. So
Yeah, that's going to be huge. She may not realize that.
yeah.
And what income does she have?
Let me go back here.
Well, it'd be tough for you to know what that is, but that'd be a question to ask. You know, it could be a different source of income,
Yeah.
making more money on her money, right?
Yeah.
On the equity and not getting banged with taxes. Like, so if we
Yeah.
know why she's selling it, if she's selling it because she needs the cash for some emergency, or she just doesn't want to be bothered with it, or like there's multiple reasons for someone to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and first and foremost, if they're not motivated enough to sell, like there's some fire under their ass to sell, they're not going to do a creative offer.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a why in
Yeah.
order for them to do creative.
Yeah. My software is showing that she has 352,000 in income a year, and her net worth is 1.8 million. So that's just, I guess, between her two properties.
Yeah, so she may not need to sell,
Mm-hmm.
so therefore she's not going to do something creative. But she might entertain the tax conversation.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so the other way this can happen too is if your buyer came in with 200,000 and then the seller carried the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where your buyer gets to get creative too. She's thinking with only her money,
Yeah.
where she can get a second on there, right? And
Right.
seller carry would be the first. And then she could back it up with, you know, private money lender for the remainder. But this is
Right.
occupied, right?
Pardon?
This is going to be owner occupied.
Herself? Yes, she is buying it for herself and her family. Mm-hmm.
Okay, then scratch that. Nobody's going to do it on owner occupied.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why is she only interested in herself and not? So I'm curious the story of your buyer then, because why
She
isn't
just
looking
doesn't
for
want to rent
investment
anymore.
property?
Yeah, she's looking for investment property too, but she doesn't want to rent anymore. And she's at a place where she said that she's ready to buy. So she's already living in Roseville. She was looking outside of and in other areas that were not quite as expensive as Roseville. And then so that's where I started my search, and I found that one property in Carmichael I had sent to you, but they just did not have enough wiggle room in the price to do anything creative. But it was a great learning experience. And so then she said she was wanting to look in, had decided she wanted to stay in Roseville. That's where she currently lives, because she just loves the area. It's a nice little pocket in the Sacramento area. So,
Well, this is awesome that you're helping her out, but you're also kind of pigeonholing yourself a little bit. Okay, what I mean by that is when someone wants owner occupied, it gets, first of all, they're picky on the house, and now they want a creative offer. So those are two big things to deliver. Two big things to deliver for owner occupied. It is much easier to deliver an investment property than it is an owner occupied property. Are you catching my drift?
absolutely.
Okay, so, and this, why I'm saying that is if it comes along, great. If it doesn't, focus on investment properties. And how many other in buyers do you have?
That are active that I'm looking for right now, I have 6.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I should be seeing 3 to 4 offers a week then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, good. And their stories and their criteria you have down?
Their buy box, absolutely. Yeah. I
Okay.
do keep a spreadsheet of my buyers and their buy box and where I found them from and what conversations we've had.
Good. Good. Okay. Kristen, do you have anything to add to this?
So just from an investment standpoint, I pulled up the average rent. Can you all still see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the average rent. So I don't know if she plans to live in this long term or if maybe it could be like a stepping stone and then be an investment property, but I would be using that number.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also looked up the neighborhood for recently sold,
Yeah.
and I had 3 right here that are going to be way
Mm-hmm.
closer than what you showed.
And I looked at those. And I can't remember now why I didn't use them.
So that was my first feedback, is that when I looked at this map, there's a lot that's been recently sold. So I was curious why you went so far away to find a comp. Here, let me pull out some of them.
Yeah, those popped up on mine too. And hang on. Let me click on them so I can
Let me double check. I'm still in the same. Pretty sure it's
know why I didn't choose them.
Pleasant Grove. Yeah, so your house is in this area. So there's 1, 2, 3. Based off of the square footage, I think might be better comps, which it's a pretty good gap too. And then I also noticed this house has not been on the market for very long, but there also are not a lot of saves on Zillow, which I
Right.
found that interesting. So that tells me that that's probably way overpriced.
Let me see.
And then also when you have, so you see 580 right there, right? And then what you're looking at is just over 600. So if there's buyers looking for property and their buy box is up to 600, so a lot of people aren't seeing that. When it comes to conforming loans and jumbo loans, the conforming loan limit, and what people can afford in that area might be below the 600, which is why there may not be as many saves on that one.
I'm curious. Yeah, again, sorry. I just was trying to pull up my Zillow sold in that area.
Is everyone else tracking
Perfect.
and seeing what we're going through? I want to make sure you guys understand what we're saying and doing.
And this is what I typically do to find my ARV. I pull up the map because I know just looking at the map, I can zoom into about this, and this
Right.
is going to be about a mile. So I know visually how close a house should be.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
And I do give myself 6 months out just to see what's there, because I'd rather see what's close than what's like, I don't know what's across. You can see that this is almost its own little neighborhood over here because your prices are jumping 100,000,
Right.
which I find interesting.
Oh my gosh.
And also from an investment standpoint, this is more like financial coaching, but I'm curious if you've had conversations with your buyer, if she's interested in investing, but now she's looking at more expensive primary homes, that might be another conversation with her.
Yeah,
Just me
that makes
So
personally.
how I
sense.
connected with her is that she put out a post, I don't know, I don't know when, several months ago, 5, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, on one of the groups that I'm in on Facebook, and said, looking for a whatever single family home for my family. And so I reached out to her. It was kind of the, at first the connector thing. Oh, you know what? If I run across anything, I'll I'll let you know. She was so nice, and she said, "Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that." And I asked her what she was looking for and what areas, and she told me. So then, just through conversation, she said, I'm also an investor. And so if you run across anything, I'm looking to invest as well. So,
So it
I,
sounds to me like there's some education that needs to happen for her.
Mhm.
Um, she'll get a house a whole lot easier if it's an investment property, just saying. And you might have to bite the bullet of renting for a minute to build up your portfolio so that you can create the cash that gives you the house that you want.
yeah, I will mention that, but she's a pretty seasoned investor, and she has access to a pretty substantial amount of private money lending. So,
So why is she
yeah,
using you?
because I reached out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is getting convoluted, and I understand what I need to do next. And if this doesn't work out, yeah, oh well. If she doesn't like the numbers, I mean, ultimately, it's her decision, because she's the one that's buying it for a homestead. And we have developed a great relationship. And so I know that, there will be future opportunities for investment properties with her. And I did invest a lot of time in that other property because it was an opportunity for her to purchase, rent, live in it, rent the ADU, add another ADU, and so just through that process, and I learned stuff from her, just through that process. But anyway,
Okay.